to some breaking news out of Canberra again regarding the recognition of Palestine as a state. Live to my colleague Cam Redden, our political correspondent. A member of the Labor backbench has raised this directly with the Prime Minister today.
Yeah, we're talking about Ed Husic here, Kieran. Sky News understands that earlier this morning in Labor's caucus meeting, which kicked off today in Canberra, the first question from backbenchers where they have the opportunity to raise issues directly with the Prime Minister. And when that opportunity arose, my understanding is Ed Husic, who was previously a minister in the Albanese government, now on the backbench, free to speak his mind, asked for the Prime Minister why it would be taking so long under current timeline for Australia to recognise a Palestinian state. What's given some additional focus on this process in recent days has been a move by the French President Emmanuel Macron, who says he will be using an address at the United Nations in September to recognise Palestinian statehood, not at the end of the peace process, but in an attempt to bring about greater peace in the region. The Prime Minister was asked about that over the weekend. He says it remains his position and the position of the government that a number of other things need to happen first. For example, there needs to be an assurance that Hamas can have no role, that there needs to be a democratising process to take place before that recognition can occur from Australia. But at the first opportunity in caucus today, Sky News understands Ed Husic raised that timeline with the Prime Minister, essentially asking why is it taking so long. The Prime Minister gave a lengthy answer to this in the caucus, in which he referred to a number of things, including his statement in question time yesterday, following a question there from an independent. He mentioned a number of the reforms that he believes will need to take place to bring about a democratising process in Gaza. He even mentioned a quote from Nelson Mandela, did the Prime Minister, in which he referred to things seeming impossible until they happen. He reiterated that there had been abominable action carried out by Hamas. And in relation to the claims that there is no starvation taking place in Gaza, we've seen, for example, this tweet from Benjamin Netanyahu. There was a claim made by the Deputy Ambassador from Israel to Australia yesterday, claiming that there is not starvation in Gaza. The Prime Minister told his caucus that those claims were beyond comprehension, Kieran. Those claims that there is not starvation happening in Gaza. So an eventful caucus briefing this morning. Sometimes they're pretty uneventful, it's fair to say, but at the first opportunity there, we know Ed Husic speaking with you yesterday, very publicly calling on the government now to recognise Palestine much sooner in the peace process, and he's now voiced that directly during the caucus briefing and meeting with the Prime Minister.
There would be many, there are many in that larger caucus who are just at their first or second meeting of the caucus. That's not the case with Ed Husic. He's very experienced cabinet minister, former cabinet minister. He brings to the table a lot more authority in that sense. So he obviously believes that as a backbencher, that is an important thing that he can do and should do within the caucus. There'd be many other MPs who wouldn't be going near doing such a thing with that lack of experience. He is in a very different position, Cam.
And he said, Kieran, that he wants to use this opportunity now being on the backbench to speak more freely specifically on this issue. It's worth noting as well, a number of questions asked in this. There was another backbencher who mentioned Bassem Abdo, the new member for Caldwell, who is Palestinian, and noted the dignity of his people in asking a question to the Prime Minister while moving on to another issue. So certainly a growing public awareness now, particularly on the Labor backbench, that perhaps there is a growing appetite internally now for a sooner recognition of that statehood.